The crew worldwide, from Cali to Twitter, real hardcore fans, boxing ass niggas, consistency cops, police the views, we'll pull up receipts for any debate you choose. Shout outs to Clanarchy for the dope production. Ring gang stay with the best discussions. Ring gang radio.
Yeah, what's good, Joe? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk, where as always, if shit's real, we talk about it. I'm your host for tonight, Patscorpio, the New England representative. And as always, I got my man with me. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yo, what it do? LB, Lauderdale boss, Shutterworth da Gawd artist. Ringgangradio.com.
Yes, sir. Ring gang in the house. And yes, tonight we also have we have a guest, and we are honored to have him here.
Special guest.
Special guest, yes. We definitely special guest indeed. He's a 3-time internationally acclaimed filmmaker, and he is also the co-founder of the company Break Media Group. I'd like to introduce to you for our show tonight, Jay Chaudhry. How you doing tonight, Jay?
What's going on, boys?
Doing great, man.
What's up?
Thank you for appearing on our show today. We're happy to have you.
No, thank you for having me, bro. All for the love of the sport.
All right, no doubt about that. So, Jay, tell us, what is Break Media, and just give us a background on your company. I know you do goal and in your clients per se.
Yeah, Break Media Group. What it is exactly? It's a new age sports agency, specifically designed to help athletes move their career forward by building content and web series around their brand. One of the things that was always missing in boxing for me was storytelling. I don't think the sport does enough to put our fighters in the limelight. I don't think managers, promoters, and networks do fucking shit for our fighters other than fight week and commercials during fight week. There's not much promotion behind our athletes, and that is really upsetting to me because, coming from a sports enraged city like Toronto, having Raptor just won, and we have a really good hockey team here, and baseball's big here, right? We grew up, hearing the names like Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, but go anywhere in the world or in America specifically and ask anybody to fucking list the top 5 of top 10 pound for pounders. They can't even list 2. So that's always been super interesting to me as to how Americans perceive boxing, and I'm here to change that.
Oh, brother, you have just spoken like gospel right now.
Hell yeah.
I want you to know that. Me,
Facts.
Pure facts. Me and LB, we have conversations not only on here but offline about boxing, how it's marketed to the masses all the time.
Yeah.
You have
It's a piss off, man, because the boxing community, like people like us and YouTube boxing community, we're such a niche market. We're all so passionate, and I can see it on Twitter. There's so much passion behind everybody's rage when it comes to wanting the fights being made and this and that. But at the same time, we're really quick, and this is one thing that I appreciate and I don't appreciate. We're really quick to just shun off mainstream critics. So when somebody says boxing is dead, we're so quick to say, "Oh, fuck off, get out of here," because it's not dead for us. But it is dead in America for a reason, and that's due to lack of storytelling. So we got to start waking up, man. If we want this sport to move forward and stop acting like a cult, this sport can once again become mainstream like it once was.
Oh yeah,
Wholeheartedly agree with you, bro. Wholeheartedly agree with you.
Oh yeah, no question. Before we go into that, Jay, who were some of your favorite boxers, that you followed as growing up watching the sport?
You know what? Fernando Vargas, I think, was really big. Obviously, growing up as a Canadian Muslim, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson was huge. Prince Nassim was huge. Being a Canadian, Lennox Lewis was huge for me. And then I kind of lost touch with boxing, and a huge chunk of the era, which was the early 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s it went down. But then when Floyd bought back the welterweight division, I started becoming hardcore, and he did so much for the sport, man, for sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, Floyd Mayweather, good or for bad, good or for worse, definitely brought a lot of eyes back onto the sport. Especially after the heavyweight era drop off, especially the '90s heavyweights. When they start getting a little older and longer to keep them retired. Floyd, definitely brought back eyes to the sport.
I say mostly like early 2000s. That's when the heavyweights really started to kind of drift. Like you could almost say after the Lennox Lewis Vitaly Klitschko fight.
Yeah.
Heavyweights kind of went into a dark ages.
And then when it peaked back up, when Deontay fought Stavern, the first one, it kind of peaked, and people started paying attention to this Wilder guy. And boxing fans were just like, "Oh, he fought bums," but he kind of hit the radar on an average American fan. They're like, "Yo, who is that guy who's just knocking everybody out?" Because his record was just so clean at the time. It was like 30-30, something like that.
Yeah, because Stavern was the first Stavern fight was his first test, so you had a lot of critics was like, man, is he gonna really, he been fighting bums, is he gonna step it up, is he gonna win? Then you had people who was like, well, we don't know, give him a chance, and he passed with flying colors, retook the test, aced the test again.
I was at that fight for number 2. It was wild in there.
Oh wow!
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was rocking. Yeah, on the TV jacket, that whole scene was rocking, bro.
But you know what? But yeah, going back to what you were saying, what LB was saying, it started drifting away in the 2000s for sure. And heavyweight boxing is what made boxing, like ever since the beginning of time. It was all about the heavy hitters and all that. So when Floyd came back and stirred up the welterweight division, he was able to make a very, very good character on himself. Like he really knew how to sell himself. And I know Leonard Ellerby takes much credit for Floyd's success, but in all honesty, it is Floyd. It's not much to do with Leonard or anything, because with all due respect, Mr. Ellerby, you were just the one who was holding Floyd's bag at the gyms, you know what I mean, when he first started. So
and working the corner.
And working the corner.
Yeah, he's a glorified promoter now. He's a self-proclaimed glorified promoter.
I mean, hold on. He took some hits for Floyd too. So
yeah, he did.
Yeah. When them Jay Prince goons ran up in the gym, I mean, I can't just say Floyd did it by himself.
Yeah. But I mean, Floyd's record speaks for himself. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and I said this in a recent interview with Round by Round Boxing. The article just came out today. Look, I respect Leonard for everything he's doing for boxing, everything he's done. I just think that he needs to start paying attention to where the world's headed right now. And this is not like a DAZN versus PBC debate. This is a fact versus, fiction debate. So it's like, when you're a promoter, your number one job is to stay up to date with the times. Your number one order should be to have your entire roster be out there in public, not just one by one by one. That's just a very primitive way of looking at sports. I mean, if you think you're just going to keep running with the Floyd Mayweather story, and now you're trying to build Tank the same way, it's going to hurt your brand, because at the end of the day, boxing is a sport where anything could happen with 1 or 2 punches. And let's say Davis loses his next 2 fights, what's Leonard going to do next? He's going to go pick another guy to fucking start from scratch, or do you want to focus on your entire roster? That's my thing.
Exactly. And you know what? And it's funny you say that, because you just explained the situation that already kind of happened this year already. The Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown. Badu Jack was like, Floyd's top guy, like credible guy, like not just name, actually putting some work in, getting some good wins. But he took a bad loss earlier this year, and honestly, I haven't heard nothing from him until my man Adonis Stevenson came out and mentioned him, I think.
Yeah, who also was one of their prodigies, Jay Leon Love, who's also one of our break media athletes. He was one of the guys on the come up too. He took a couple of losses, and that's it. So that's the reality of the sport, man. Anything could happen. So just start paying attention to your fighters, man. Put them out there.
Right.
And one of our, go ahead.
Oh, and this brings back to obviously the first topic. Pretty much the promotion of boxing. Like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
Why aren't fighters being noticed by mass fan bases? I mean, yes, we have our Floyd Mayweather, we have our Manny Pacquiao's and stuff, but why is it that only a few fighters can actually make, or Adrian Broner even? Because I have to. Broner does a lot of things wrong, but marketing himself, he's Prince with that. He's a champ with that. But why is it that we can't get these? Why can't other fighters get noticed by not just not by the casual fan bases in boxing, and just they basically just stay hard, in the eyes of the hardcore fan base. Why do you think that? Like, what's wrong with it?
Cool. I'm going to answer that question in two parts. First, Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner, you mentioned that he is the prince of social media, whatnot. But look at the market he caters to, a bunch of World Star hip-hop watching goers, okay? He doesn't really have a fan base, okay? His following is just the hood, all right? And the hood isn't the mass fan base. It's because the hood streams fights. They don't fucking buy pay-per-views. So let's get that out of here.
True. But this is the thing. I feel you on that, though. I feel you on that.
Yo, and check this, right? So Adrian Broner, picture this. If Adrian Broner took the money that he spends currently on strip clubs, his cars, his chains, his casinos, and even just gives like 30 racks to a fucking producer like me or like an agency like mine to actually build a unique series around him that can shed a good light on him to the masses, that is called social media prince. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, he has to understand that he has to put his money where it matters. Now, is it his fault that he thinks like that and he's brought up that way? No. But it's the job of his promoters and managers to do that.
But that's the thing, is like Broner was, and apologies not to interrupt, but Broner was one of the original people who was actually doing that, like having his own episodes, his webisodes, and he was putting them on World Star. Like, this is like years ago, like up until like even past his HBO fights and back Showtime, like Broner was one of the few who actually did that. And I feel like a lot of these boxers, they get paid so much, they could easily do that shit.
100%, dude. And that's why I came into the picture. Now look at the way that Break Media works. I'm not trying to like just selfishly or publicly just advertise my company.
No, hey, you on ring, you a guest, bro. Go ahead.
No, but my thing is this, right? Like, we don't even ask our athletes for money. Like, the way that the company's structured is that when an athlete signs up with us, it's obviously free of cost, perked up. We don't take any percentages off purses. We don't ask the fighter for money. We like to treat our athletes with the utmost respect. So you join our panel, and then it's our job to go get brands and sponsors. So Break Media, so we don't charge our athletes. They sign up for our program. We don't take any commission off the purses. We don't ask them for any money. We actually go out because we trust our athletes and we respect them enough to go get somebody else to pay the tab. So we'll go out to potential brands and sponsors and actually get them to back the athlete. And a prime example of how that works is Phil Greco. He was a C-list fighter from Canada. There wasn't much going for him. We scaled a series called Culinary Fighter, which was a hit in the boxing community, where he traveled around America, talking to fighters, eating food, going to restaurants. And we were able to leverage that show and get him the Amir Khan fight. So that's value. And that's what we think that, we believe that every fighter should be doing.
Yeah, and
great idea.
That's a great idea. And it's something that I touched upon as you were coming back. Like, like back in the day, like let's say early 2000s, HBO used to do it by doing the 24/7 episodes, for the fights, and then the face-to-faces and stuff like that. And that stuff is missing in today's boxing. Like, maybe Zone might do it for me for 1 or 2 episodes or whatever. Showtime may do like a one-off. But that's
like an all access or whatever it is. But that's not enough, because who watches all access HBO 24/7? It's just boxing heads. But when you produce like a YouTube series or an IGTV series or TikTok content, now you're talking about mass exposure. And if it's done right, you'll get people who watch Viceland, who watch Food Network, who watch National Geographic, who watch travel and food shows on Netflix. They'll start fucking with the athlete now too, because they'll be like, holy shit, there's this new boxer, there's this new travel shows with some boxer. That's how they're going to recognize the boxer. Right now, it's just, that's the boxer. And that's not fair. We need to get them to the masses.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like I said, and then, last thing, because the new age of digitizing content, it's, I guess some of the old timers might not be too agreeable to that. It's, because it's like, hey, if you're not doing it for TV, why do it for, why do it for YouTube, or why do it for IG,
Yeah, I mean, but that's the double-edged sword there. And this is what I was trying to tell to Leonard. I got into a back and forth with him on Twitter, and I was like, what are you getting out of sending Gervonta Davis in to open up the pitch for the baseball game? Is there any fan conversion in that? And if there is, can you please give me the data? And he couldn't answer. And yet he was foolish enough to, have a conversation with me. So I'm schooling him, and I'm getting people retweeting me and commenting back, like to me, saying, "Yeah, Leonard, answer him." And Leonard ended up blocking me because he couldn't fucking handle it. And it's like, dude, you can't, because, and then on top of that, you're giving such a big responsibility to a young fighter like Davis. You're giving him the fucking key to the city of Baltimore. First of all, with all due respect, what did he do to deserve that? A. B, he got the key, and the same fucking week he fought, Donald Trump blast Baltimore, and you don't have to say anything back to him? You own the key to the city? Why are you putting this responsibility on your fighters if they can't fucking commit?
That is
stupid.
I cannot disagree with that at all.
And see, that's the thing. Like, you see all these missed opportunities you're speaking on. That's why I can't really say it's just the promoter or the label or the TV channel or the platform. It's honestly it's everybody's responsibility. Everybody could pitch in and uplift boxing, at least the promotion aspect of it. But a lot of people, I see like there's an entitlement in this era of fighters.
Yeah. Well, here's an answer to that. So, yeah, I agree. It's everybody's responsibility, but it does come down fundamentally to someone taking action, and that's what Break Media is doing. We're positioning ourselves as the official sports agency of boxing, and we're hooking up with the likes of, fighters from DAZN, from PBC, from Top Rank, from Golden Boy. Got a couple of fighters there, and we're taking that responsibility. Because look, I'll give you an example, guys. You guys heard of that guy Gary Vee? He's like an entrepreneur. He's always talking about fucking business and passion on Instagram.
Gary Vee, yeah. So I hooked up with his team recently, Vayner Sports. They're one of NFL sports agencies, and they're taking that responsibility in NFL. So I recently put together a project for them for one of their athletes who plays for the New Orleans Saints, Josh Martin. He's an NFL linebacker, and we just finished shooting a 9-part series all across America talking about politics and community involvement and social issues. And that's going to put him on the map. So Vayner Sports is a company that actually realizes that this is where the digitization of athletes comes into play. So whether they're in the field or out of the rings, you got to put these guys into the homes of America again. Before it was TV shows, but TV's done, and now it's about internet. So get the fuck on YouTube, get on IGTV right away.
Yeah, and that brings me to that's a segue to our next topic. Boxing versus every other mainstream sport. Like, what lessons can we use from other sports to better boxing? What do you think?
Good question, man. Good question. So the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL, they have systematically designed their sport so that every athlete goes through a process. You know what I mean? Whether that's through college, you get your diploma, otherwise you can't join the team, to actually when you make the team, they have programs, educational courses within these organizations that teaches you stuff like finances, teaches you stuff like how to be more involved with the community. Obviously now they have this new venture where they're teaching athletes how to make use of social media for your personal brand. They got fucking therapy sessions. Boxing doesn't have anything, dude. That's why there's that famous quote that's in boxing that pay attention to those in your room after you lose, because everybody forgets you once you lose. So you better start looking up and own your own fan base. And this is something that Ryan Garcia does very well. It's something that Floyd Mayweather did very well. And all these young fighters who are coming up, they should all hop on the bandwagon, which is fan base acquisition. Own your fans so that in the future, win, lose, or draw, they still fuck with you. And that's something Ryan Garcia can hold to his name forever.
Yeah, and that's it. And yeah, you definitely touched upon that social media aspect, and also too other sports. Particularly the NBA are doing to help athletes, just in case once their playing days are over.
Let me ask you guys a question, LB and Pat. So tell me this: who do you think is responsible for like a fighter's education outside the sport? Or should it be commissioned by like the sanctioning bodies? Is it a promotional thing? Like, what do you guys think that should happen there?
Oh wow, that's a good question.
Like like the boxer's education of the sport or outside the sport?
Outside the sport, like NFL, like they have like courses for all the athletes. Like they have mandatory courses that they got to take for their finances, and they have like small courses, and we don't teach our fighters this stuff. So who's responsible for that?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll let Pat answer that first. I got my answer though.
I mean, see, it's kind of difficult because it's like, I mean, does it fall on behalf of the promoter? I mean, firstly, it should fall on the responsibility of the promoter. I mean, the promoter signs them. The promoter should be able. I mean, I understand, the promoter has to make money off them. He has to make sure that they win, but the promoter also has to make sure that they also have like a sound mind after their sport is, after their fighting days are done. And unfortunately, that's not really seen as the case. They're just mostly seen as, hey, we're gonna use the guy until he's all used up, and then we can dispose of. That's exactly. It. But I do think it's. I mean, the commissions and the promoters, it's their responsibility. Like the commissions, especially, like if they're gonna be like, hey, we're gonna, we require you to, let's say pass a simple cognitive test or something like that, to make sure you can actually, box. That you're not like there's not like an intellectual deficit in there. The promoter will be doing more like, hey, I'm training. Yes, I'm promoting you, but I also need you to take these classes. I need you to understand the business, your money, like what your, like where your money is going, what are you doing with your money, so on and so forth. And also the boxer also has to take his own responsibility to actually know, like knowing that he's not going to fight forever. But I mean, I mean, to me, it's a responsibility. It's on different people, and that's my answer.
My answer was going to be, honestly, if it's
is it just me or you? Is it just me or are you cutting up?
Me? Who's cutting out?
Yeah, Pat was cutting out there and out. I got the gist of your answer, but you're just cutting out there.
Oh, I mean, I think did you hear me clearly?
Oh yeah, I heard you. I don't know what's going on with the connection. I'm hearing everybody good.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll fix it in post. That's the famous thing. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as far as like education on boxing and history, your sport, what you doing and all that, like honestly, I gotta hold the fighter personally accountable for that shit. Right. Like if you getting into something, you gotta get into it. You don't get into it just to, you don't say you want to swim, learn to swim, but the first day you don't jump in the pool, you just put your toe in.
Right.
A lot of these dudes, they putting their toe in, and then they want everybody else to come swim to them and be like, all right, I got this for you, got that. A lot of times, if you show the eagerness, the hunger, and the willing to learn, more doors will open up for you. As opposed to you not wanting to learn about that shit. I mean, because think about it, like, we all know boxing's a grimy business. It's grimy, and not even in the business part, like, people steal fighters, people beef in the gym, all of that. So a fighter has to know this. Like, you can't get into boxing and not, know any of this goes on. So I do feel the responsibility supposedly should fall on the fighter, if not 100%, at least damn 70%. And I feel like if his trainer is worth a damn, he should be right there on some like, look, man, after you watch these Ricardo Lopez tapes, so you could get that jab right hand going, I need you to watch this. I need you to watch his business documentary and and help them soak up game, because a lot of people just think it's just boxing.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And I'm gonna call out somebody else right now, Jamal Charlo. So I was in talks. Well, I wasn't even in talks, to be honest. I was in conversation with his manager, and this is how shady boxing is. I don't give a fuck if they hear this.
Go ahead, I reached out to
the Charlo twins, and I was like, yo, like, we need to start producing content around you guys. You guys are two handsome-looking twins. Let's get you a series out of Texas. We'll get all of Texas to support you, because right now, you can go to McDonald's and somebody will tell you to get the fuck out of the way. So we need to make sure that people know who you are. So I'm explaining to this fucking bonehead of a manager of theirs, I don't know what his name is, and he's talking to me, and I'm like, yo, this is my idea, and I'm passionate. I'm telling him all these crazy concepts. He's like, yo, cool, I'm down. I'm, all right, cool, so what's the next step? He's like, you tell me how much I'm getting out of it. And I'm like, you piece of shit. Like, you want fucking money from me? Like, are you fucking retarded? Like, I'm helping your guy, and now you're not letting him get access to me because you want a piece of the pie. Now imagine how much time that happens to fighters, where the manager, aka manager, because we all know what managers really are. If they're just a fighter's fucking cousin or uncle or whatever.
Right.
So they don't have They don't have any idea in terms of what goes on outside of boxing. So when somebody like me comes to them, they just see dollar value. And then they think that if I ain't making money, my fighter ain't making money, so fuck off. And that's really, really messed up.
They not seeing the whole picture. And it's a damn shame. That's what I'm saying. It's like you got too many people in boxing who don't know boxing and don't really have the love and respect for it. They don't want to see it grow. It's just, all right, I'm going to be in for about 5 years. Let me get what I can get, and I'm going to get out.
Yeah, and they don't get back.
It's so bad, dude. And like, it needs to change, man. That's it. And that's what Dear Boxing is all about, my new documentary.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, definitely. Let's speak on the documentary, Jay.
Well, yeah, I mean, so obviously everything we spoke about so far today is intertwined with the core goal and mission of the documentary, which is to engage fans once again into the sport. So the documentary, you could say it's been 2 years in the making, because ever since I entered the sport with Phil, I've been collecting a lot of data and analytics, and I've done a lot of research. And man, there's a lot of gray areas in boxing that people don't know about. So when you're on Twitter and you see all these like experts talking about purses and views and stats and ratings, I'm like, yo, where the fuck is all this information coming from? So I started doing some research, and I find out that everything is bullshit. Like, once you get to the core of these stats and ratings and purse, and you actually try to figure out where it's coming from, it's like the most Illuminati conspiracy-filled fucking adventure ever. Because nobody's gonna fucking tell you.
It's boxing.
So, until now, bro, I uncovered some fucked up shit, and it's all in the documentary. We got people from Netflix on this. We got advertising execs. We got people from the TV rating system. We got pay-per-view distributors on this. We got fighters, managers, promoters on this. And a huge chunk of the documentary is fan-driven, because I wanted to make this for the fans at the end of the day. This wasn't a documentary to just glorify me and my company, but to glorify the fans, because the fans are what make the sport. So there's a really cool part to the doc where we include the fans in a really like hilarious adventure. I won't get into details, but Pat knows what's up. We're gonna blow the fucking lid off this entire industry and just expose people who have been lying to us, and get to the bottom of it.
Oh
Can't
man,
wait.
yeah, you definitely can't wait for that. I mean, boxing has been in need of an expose of some sort for quite some time, and what Jay has told me. Oh man, and what he just said right now, trust me, it's going to send some shockwaves throughout the sport and the whole industry, man.
Like, yo, LB, let me ask you a question, dog. Like, when you're on Twitter and like whatever it is, or on Google, and you're looking at these reports that like a fight did 300,000 views last night, right? Like, I want to know, first of all, where is that number coming from? A, which I found out, and I debunked that theory. But B, if there really was 300,000 people, for example, for one of my pieces to document the Charlo Harrison fight, they said it did 341,000 views on Fox, and I'm just like, okay, but there was only 3,000 tweets about Charlo that night. So where the fuck are 389,000 people? Are they just sitting at home loving boxing?
I mean, this is the thing. Some people do. I mean, me personally, when I'm watching boxing, I don't touch social media or anything. Like, I might.
That's cool, man. So that's cool, but all this information is collected, right? Like on your search bar, on your Google, on your WhatsApp conversation. All this stuff is collected.
Doing like the TV, like Nielsen ratings or something. Like.
Yeah. Don't worry, we got something special for Nielsen too.
Damn, but yeah. You see, I like this. See, y'all, he came through bringing the whole chopper.
Leonard ring like.
No, boxing.
Yeah, because you know what? I want to do this in a way where there's no questions asked, there's no stone left unturned, and of course there's going to be the opposite side of people and haters and whatever the hell it is, and people who just don't want to pay attention. But the fact of the matter is, data has no feelings, and that's what I'm here to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's real talk.
That is absolute real talk. Oof, God damn. But just to move on to something a little bit different, just to circle back a little bit, in terms of boxing obviously goes as the heavyweights go, and you need, if heavyweights aren't popping, then obviously you gotta have the right fights popping. Now, one of the biggest issues in boxing today are the right fights being made at the time when we want them. Why is it an issue in the sport? I mean,
well, I mean, other than the obvious fact that there's promotional issues and you have egos involved, the main thing what it comes down to is obviously the relationship with advertisers and networks and where the bulk of the money goes. So when you have like a new app like DAZN, for example, who in my opinion are the future because our world is slowly headed into a digital era. So while DAZN put their flag down early, everybody else has to follow. So PBC, like Fox and all these people, they're going to have to cut the cord soon and play catch up to DAZN. But right now, the power is with the network. There's no denying that. The power is there. So when you have a powerhouse like networks who have these deep, deep connections with advertising, Heyman, and like he's deeply connected to like fucking people with a ton shit of money that he owes a lot of fights to, they automatically in a way have an A side. So it's really hard to make fights when you have the future versus the old. And that's problem one. Problem two, why the right fights are being made, it's simply because nobody wants their fighter to lose their O anymore. It's not cool to lose an O like it once was. So a person like Davis, because Floyd said that, because people are forgetting something. Floyd didn't make noise because of his record. He made it because of his storytelling. So yeah, he's 50-0. That's a really cool thing about him. But that wasn't.
Hello. I mean, he's still on, but it just.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh yeah, here you go.
Yeah, I was saying that number two is the reason why, because people are just afraid to lose their O, and they don't want somebody getting hurt at the wrong time of their career. Because Davis to take an L right now, especially going to another platform, is all bad news for PBC. And so that's one of the reasons why the Tank Farmer fight is. I mean, we'll talk about that in a bit as well. But generally speaking, the right fights are being made at the right time simply because the new style of boxing isn't fighting, it's building. Now they all just want to build, just like Floyd did. But they're forgetting Floyd didn't just build, he actually shared his story too at the same time.
I mean, he had the 24/7s, like the 24/7s kind of catapulted Floyd with that and the whole Oscar De La Hoya fight. Yeah, but the thing is, at one point, it got stale. Like the documentaries, I felt like Floyd was good and bad with it. Like on one hand, he brought another platform out there for everybody to start, 24/7 and we were cool with it. But then it got to the point where everybody started trying to have the same story as Floyd, and even Floyd's story got played out. And then now you see
it watered it down.
It got watered down. And then when Floyd is producing and making his own, it's like the egos have overtaken boxing. Like now you see Canelo has the same type of 24, I think, with Jacobs, and it was boring. The same, I got all this money, got out, yada yada yada. So it's like you could do the shows and stuff, but you gotta make it interesting. You gotta make it new. You gotta, because you can't just get new fans and then you done pissed off and alienated all the old hardcore fans. It's a line you gotta have.
Yeah, dude, I agree, man. And everybody just trying to follow the Floyd Mayweather recipe, but a guy like Floyd comes once every era, man. You can't just keep chasing the Floyd Mayweather story. Everybody has to have their own story, and this is why the fights are being made, because I really do believe that fighters are not ducking anybody. I don't think the fighter is. I believe Ryan and Haney want to get it on next week. Kevin and Davis want to get it on next week. But their promoters or their fucking handlers are just...
Honestly, I feel like some of these dudes are legit ducking, man. I'm going to just put it out there.
Yeah, they're ducking because their promoter puts into their head that they're better.
Not just promotion. Like, honestly, I feel like some of these dudes here, I'm not going to put it all on the promoter. Like, I feel like they got something to do with it. Like, like if we was to divide blame, I almost feel like it's 50-50, because at the end of the day, who worked for who?
That's another thing you're right on. And you know what?
Everybody's bosses.
I'm kind of going to retrace my steps there and agree with you, because if the fighter really wants to get it done, he can make a statement and say, I want to get this fight done.
Look who Jared Hurd was fighting. Look at who Jared Hurd was fighting on his run up until his loss. Compare that to bigger names.
Yeah.
In more stacked divisions, and you know, so it's not all the promoter. I think people hide behind it sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing with like so and to me, I always talk about like they're very risk adverse. Like no one in this generation wants to be great. Like,
and you won't have greatness from this era. Like it'll be. I can name the 5 fighters now that 10 years from now we're gonna say is great. Lomachenko, Monster in
anyway,
Inouye.
Yep.
Apologies if I messed that up. That's 2 right there. You know what? I'm gonna just leave at 2 right now. I don't know if we're gonna have 5.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but you're on the right track. Though, but I think the future prospects have a potential. You have the potentials of the Garcias, the Haneys, the Virgil Ortizes. Yeah. I mean, they all have potential for greatness if they're
not tainted yet.
But eventually, when their paths cross, Kurt Stevens too. Let me just put him out there too. But the point is, in order for them to they have to fight each other, and the fights have to be made because we don't want to see fights that that are that they keep we're trying to build a bit and bam they take an upset loss. I mean, we just saw that with Wilder and Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua takes a surprising loss earlier this a couple months ago. And now the heavyweight picture is a little murky again. So yeah, it's
boring again. Shit. Yeah. That's murky. No. This ain't a fucking canal. We not in Florida.
Yeah.
Trying to see if an alligator.
Let's just hope that this fucking documentary dog just rips the Band-Aid hard enough that every fan just wakes up and finally stops debating shit that doesn't make sense and start actually demanding the promoters and fighters to fight or we're out. Like it's time now. You know what I mean? It's you either fight or we're done. Because now, when I expose the stories and I expose the data, the promoters are literally going to be left naked with their dicks in their hand. And we're just going to be like, we know what the fuck you're about, so you better change your shit or we're just done. And they're going to have no choice but to fucking make the fights happen. Because that's the only way that the big money is going to come. Because advertisers, bro, are slowly but quickly pulling out the networks because they know now that the money don't make no sense. And this is like...
They're not seeing the fucking fights that people want to see.
Yeah.
And it's stagnating. And I don't know how some of these fighters is getting paid the way they're getting paid. Like honest to God, like.
Yeah.
It's from
the ad money. It's from the ad money, bro. And because advertisers have been blindly paying to networks for like decades, because they just built that trust. But now when these old advertising execs are going to retire or fucking die, and the new generation is going to come up and take their positions, this new generation, LB, bro, they don't give a fuck about, oh yeah, we have this account for Pepsi and Fox and we pay $50 million a year to them. He's going to be like, why? What's the number? What is the data? And once they figure out that it's all hoopla and it's all smoke and mirrors, they're going to pull the cord, and that's when the money drops significantly. And that's when the likes of, I hate to say his name in vain like this, but Al Heyman is going to eventually be like, fuck this, I'm out.
Whoa! That's a strong word.
Hey, look, man. Anything could happen, bro. Like, I want this DJ. I'm sorry. I said DJ. I want this documentary to hit motherfuckers so hard. I want them to see the passion in the fans and the people who built up this documentary. I want all the fans. I want all the boxers, promoters, all the managers to look at the enthusiasm, see the love and the passion for the sport of boxing, and get off their fucking ass and do something about it. Cause Break Media, y'all doing, we all said, remember earlier I said, yo, it's everybody's fault. Y'all taking the initiative and y'all doing y'all part.
Respect.
Ringgangradio.com, we doing our part. But
you guys are doing a hell of a job, man. I respect every fucking podcast. I respect everybody. Like, I don't say no to a podcast. I don't say no to an interview. I got no bias. For me, I'm here for the sport first. So we're here together to push this forward. And it's just time to wake up, man. Like, enough is enough. How long are we going to go until fucking Tank and fucking Farmer fight, or Garcia and Haney fight, or Deontay and Joshua? And, like, look at that. Even the Deontay Joshua fight, real quick, let's talk about that. Nobody wants to even see it anymore, man, because it's been so fucking long.
Yeah, that's
They marinated it too long. the death of the super fights. I told y'all.
Yeah.
I wrote the article, I think a month before, it was at least 2 weeks or a month before Joshua lost. It said pretty much y'all stagnating these divisions. Y'all.
You know how bad it looks. You know how bad it looked for the sport when Floyd finally fought Pacquiao. The general consensus was it was the most boring fight from the entire history of boxing. Meanwhile, Floyd and his team, they're flaunting the $300 million check. What does that do for us, though?
Exactly. See, that's why I fucks with you, because you on some real shit. Like,
we fucking put $90 into your
shit.
fucking pay-per-view. We paid for your fucking service, and this is what the fuck you put out?
And give us a bullshit ass fight.
Oh no,
business ass people.
Yo, trust me. Like, and me and LB, we complained about this, like all the way up to like the undercard. Like the undercard, they had the opportunity to build fighters, like put the right fighters on there.
Yup.
And they put Santa Cruz on there. They put Lomachenko on there. One-sided jobber-filled fights. Like they were.
Oh no, Santa Cruz was struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
There were showcase fights there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it built no one except everyone involved got super rich, and then the fans were just like, "Oh, I'm done with boxing."
Remember, it started before that.
Yeah,
remember,
and
they have a whole press tour. They didn't go around the country. This was a fight of like the magnitude of this fight was next level. Like we haven't had nothing like this. It's been people waiting for it for years, 5-6 years, and y'all don't have a nationwide press tour.
You don't go to Philippines. You don't do nothing. Exactly.
None of you don't hit Vegas, California, Philippines, the UK, Miami, New York. Yeah. All this time, like y'all close off the damn the weigh-ins and all that shit in the press conferences. Y'all don't even have real fans.
They saved all that money for Floyd's pocket. That's why he still flaunts that check. He still has it in his money bank. He shows on TMZ every fucking couple of months. Like, the check.
It's like we need new stars out here. It's like Floyd had his time. He had his gimmick work for him, and that's cool. Much respect. He did a lot for the sport. He, he hurt the sport a little bit too. I'm gonna be 100. Right. But at the end of the day, other people need to step up and put their contribution to it. Because one thing I see a lot of when it comes to promotion, a lot of these boxers, they not accessible.
Well, that brings me to my next question, and what can fighters do to engage more with fans?
Oh God, everything. Every fucking thing. Look, man, look. Even what Jay said earlier about Charlo's manager, that's just a little bit of the problem. Even though that's a big fucking problem, I'm not diminishing it. But you got these boxers that are getting paid racks on fucking racks, fighting once or twice a year.
Yep.
If somebody makes a highlight video of them, and it's dope as hell, and they tag them in and everything, you mean to tell me out your busy ass schedule, you can't retweet that? You can't say thank you? This is
I know, dude. I hate when that happens. They don't appreciate it.
Highlights or nothing. This a fucking Charlo highlights. This a fucking these are guys that you should be thankful motherfuckers is making highlight videos of you or drawing pictures of you and all that shit.
Do you have any idea the amount of value a Charlo could get for exactly what just LB just said, where you retweet with a fucking heart and a punch? You know what I mean? And it's like that fan is gonna forever fuck with you because you retweeted him with a fucking heart and a fucking dap. That guy's gonna buy all your hats, all your shirts. He's gonna fucking come to your fight just so you can tell people, yo, that's Chamar Charlo. He retweeted me. You know that? He likes that. That's what fans are about. But you don't want to fuck with him, right? Because you are fucking LeBron James. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been around someone we've all been around some of these fighters. Like some of them, they have their, some of them have a lot of ego. Some of them are just like, it's like we should be happy that we're dealing with them. And that's
like, who the fuck are you, nigga? I box too. What the fuck? Shit, man.
No, for real, man. For real, man. A lot of these guys, they're on the high horse, man. They think the shit don't stink until they fucking take a loss, and they don't appreciate the fans. And this is one of the main reasons. So, for Pat's question, it's like, what can you do to engage with fans? That is exactly it. Engage with them, bro. Put content out there that's gonna please the fans. Like, everybody's doing it. Kevin Durant has a YouTube channel. Odell Beckham Jr. has a YouTube channel. Fucking Kevin Hart had his LOL network. Serge Ibaka, our Toronto guy, he has a show called How Hungry Are You? And he gets 300,000 views per video. And like, people fuck with him, man, because they just think that he's a human. And our athletes are not doing that at all.
Right. Agreed, man. Oh my goodness. Y'all hearing some real shit out there. I'm just letting y'all know right now. Like, y'all hearing some real shit.
Yeah, I mean,
like imagine if Deontay Wilder had like a YouTube show similar to Kevin Hart, where he goes out with other athletes from other sports and skydives with them and eats like fucking snake tail in the rainforest with them. That's content that fans would be like, holy shit, that's so cool. And now you're actually migrating to another sport, because if you do that with an NFL player, an NHL player, an NBA player, now you're gonna get their fans to start fucking with you too. You get what I'm saying? So it all comes back full circle.
Yeah, because everybody's borrowing from each other's fan bases and audiences. Like if you on IG, like you they cool with Chris Brown, why y'all ain't in his videos and shit?
100%.
Like, I remember coming up, Zab used to be in all the rapper videos, even Mayweather a few. You had other boxers, Tyson, and it's like, okay, like you see videos all the time. It's like, where y'all at? Like, it's like boxers, it's like y'all ain't busy enough to be this not busy. You know what I mean? Like, something's not adding up.
You know what's funny? They're saying that Deontay Wilder, I read an article recently, Deontay Wilder is the new Mike Tyson. I'll guarantee you in 20 years, nobody's gonna know who Deontay is. Right now, Mike Tyson has a way more recognition than Deontay Wilder does, because Mike Tyson knows about his younger audiences. He has his podcast, he smokes weed now. He's always on YouTube doing prank videos with all those YouTuber kids. He understands that, these are the how is Mike Tyson able to actually keep his fan base from the 80s and 90s and still get new ones too from 2019?
Mike is a special case too, because Mike in his prime, I mean, he has a classic Nintendo video game. He was in rap videos. He was in DJ Jesse, Fresh Prince.
Mike took advantage of all the missed opportunities motherfuckers is missing now. That's what it is. He's not even special in that sense of where people just gave him extra shit. Like, he was special in the sense where he made it happen, and then when all those doors open, he made it happen still. He just went in them doors. Okay, video game, check. Let me see this, that, check. Rap video, check. Okay, Tupac walking me to the ring, check. This, check. Like, he was still in the boxing games too.
Do you remember that video of, hey Pat, do you remember that video when Wilder and Fury were fighting? Eddie Hearn was on the streets of LA and he was asking everybody if they knew who Deontay was, and they were like, no.
Yeah.
And then they asked Wilder about it, and Wilder's answer was this. He said, man, I don't care. I don't want to be known like that. I want to be able to still walk the streets and nobody bugging me. Meanwhile, he was a first to go fucking shake his ass on James Corden late night show. Why did he do that then?
Yeah. I think there's the ego thing. Like, he probably had maybe his feelings hurt a little bit, and just he had to save face. So he was just like, oh yeah, I don't want to be seen like that, and that's bullshit. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. Every heavyweight champion wants to be seen like that.
You knock people out for a living, you want to be known.
Exactly. Thank you.
And if you're doing it on TV, I know people in the hood who knocking people out, and they love that respect that they get. So you can't tell me, like, heavyweight champion, you paid to do this, and you walk down the street, no one knows you. Nah, like, you reject that deposit.
Oh man, but this definitely was a great conversation, and